Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. Today's Quick Queries number 21. And if this is your first Quick Queries that you're seeing, these are the videos where I answer questions that, they might not merit an entire video on their own, but we'll talk about it. All right, here we go. All right, starting off, here's a good one from my forums. This came up in one of the developer classes. And essentially, it's a long discussion, but essentially, Robert is trying to go to a field on a subform using SetFocus. Okay? And when you do that, the SetFocus command can only work on the form that you're on. Okay? So for example, if you take a form with a subform, like my order form here, right? If you say on this parent form in your code, if you say DoCmd..GoToControl, it goes here. Okay? And if you then say order subform, exclamation point, whatever, description, SetFocus, it will go here, but it will not leave the parent form. Okay? So it'll move around in here, but it's not going to move the focus into the field in that form. It's just a quirk. So instead, what you have to do is use DoCmd.GoToControl. You'll issue two commands. You'll go to control the subform first. Then you'll go to control the field inside the subform that you want. I might actually do a full tech help video on this one because a few people have asked about it, but I wanted to bring it up here because, again, a few people have asked about it. So there you go. I've got a SetFocus versus go to control video on the back burner. So maybe one of these days we'll get to that one. And if you want to read more about it, here's the thread right there. I'm not going to put the whole URL down below. You know how to do this stuff, right? Okay. Here's another common question. People make combo boxes, and you've got two fields in that combo box. You got an ID and you got a value, right? Like your customer ID and then the customer name. And when you close the combo box, all you're seeing is the number. Like Julian says here, just the number 10. Well, if that's the case, you got to hide that column, right? I covered that in my combo box video. Just go to my website and search for combo box. You'll find it. And if you're referring to it in code, oh, here it is. Alex gave it. And if you're referring to it in code, it's combo box name .column1. Okay. There's the combo box video. And here's another combo box video where I teach you how to put two fields together in there, like last name, first name, even though these are separate fields. Basically make a query, concatenate them, and you're good to go. From the inbox, Mike asks about switching to Linux. He wants to switch to Linux. Will Access be able to be used by it? Well, there's no Linux version of Access. So you'd have to see if there's some kind of emulator available. And it's pretty much the same as when people ask me if they can use Access on their Mac. I've got a whole thread about that. I usually leave this one up to my resident Mac expert, Alex. He's got a whole bunch of stuff on here. I'll put a link to this down below. Essentially, you can run an emulator if they have one for running PC apps. I'm sure they have one. I've never really used Linux much myself. I toyed with it a bunch back in like the early 2000s. And I don't touch Mac products. I haven't since like the 80s. But I'm sure there's a way. And you can also, if you have a PC, you can also set Access up on the PC and just remote desktop into it using something like Google Chrome. The Chrome remote desktop. I got videos on that on my website as well. Next up, Doug says he has a split database. Is there a way to put the backend in a website directory? Yeah, it's possible. You can. And you can map a drive letter. There is software out there to let you map a drive letter to a web server folder, especially if the web server is in-house. But I strongly recommend against this. Do not do this. Access is only designed by itself to work over a local area network in your office. It doesn't work well over things like Dropbox or shared drive letters like that online. It'll corrupt almost all the time. I've got several videos on this. And it doesn't do well over WANs, over wide area networks. So even if you've got a Z drive or some other drive letter mapped to a server in some other location, the latency there is going to cause problems. It's just not fast enough of a connection or reliable enough of a connection for you to be able to work well. What I do recommend is use SQL Server. All right, and I got several videos on this. I'll put a link down below. It's not hard. It's not. I've got a seminar that teaches you how to do it. All you do is you take your tables, you upload them to SQL Server, and then you just connect as if you're connecting to any data source. And it's not that hard to do. Now, Kevin Yip does mention that you can put your Access tables on a web server, but then they're pretty much only usable on that server. Like the website can read and write those tables, okay? But you shouldn't try to connect to them remotely. In fact, when I first set up my website about 20 years ago, so I was using access files, right? Old MDB style files for my ASP pages to run my database, to run the website before I knew how to use SQL Server. So it works, but I only recommend it for the smallest of websites for very little traffic. You start getting 10, 15, 20 users hitting that database, it's going to slow your site right down. Want to learn how to get your Access database up online using SQL Server? Well, there you go. There's a seminar for it. Check it out. And I also have this database, which explains some additional ways you can get your database online. There's Access Database Cloud, which is basically like a remote desktop, and it works really well if you get a small team. SharePoint, of course. You can Chrome Remote Desktop into it, like I said before. And, of course, there's SQL Server. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but do it safely. Otherwise, you're going to risk corrupting your database and possibly, run into bigger problems than that. So check this video out. Here's a good one. Bruce comes up with. He wants to know how come this if function doesn't work. If allow additions, right? Some field, yes, probably a true or false value, right? Now remember, the if function says check this condition. If that's the case, set whatever the variable is to this. Otherwise, set it equal to that. So you've kind of got this written wrong. This should be, if you want to flip the values, say if allow additions, then just put just false here. Otherwise, just true here. Okay? But if you want to write it like that, just do this. Say allow additions equals not allow additions. And that's the way that you flip a Boolean value, right? Right? X equals not X. So if it's true, it'll be false. If it's false, it'll be true. And of course, if it's null, it'll still be null. Because if you do any kind of null math, null plus minus times anything is also null. So, but I'm assuming you're not working with null values with this one. On my recent ANSI 92 video, JC Wynn says, solution, learn SQL and ditch the query builder GUI. Yeah, that's great. I strongly recommend people do use and learn SQL because it's used all over Access. But that's, you don't always have that luxury to take the time to learn SQL if you just want to build some basic databases, right? That's why I don't cover SQL that much in my beginner lessons, because you can do a lot with Access, a lot of great stuff, without having to learn programming, without having to learn SQL. That's one of the powers of Access, is it's a great rapid application development tool for people who don't want to be programmers. So that's why I spend a lot of time on the GUI, as you put it, in my beginner lessons. Drew Marshall says, I sound like Quagmire. Why do I sound? I don't sound like Quagmire. Giggity. Shadow Dragon, learned something today. Awesome. Glad to hear it. The Defenestrator. Boy, I don't want to hang out with this guy. He says he's trying to make a database where he can group people based on the total amount of their donations, like 1 to 99 friends, $100 to 249 supporter, and so on. Yeah, this sounds very much like what I do in my age demographics video. You put people into different groups, right? You got under 18, 18 to 25, and so on. Same kind of concept. It's just instead of total donations, it's age, but yeah. You'll just need to use an aggregate query, put those together, and then there you go. Robert Hopkins says that I may have deleted his post. I don't delete any posts unless they're spammy, which I get a bunch of those. They're rude. They don't make anything, they don't contribute positively to the topic at hand. Now, I do get some criticisms. And if you're polite about the criticism, I'll leave it on there. Like some people say, man, this goes too slow, which my beginner lessons do go slow because they're for beginners, right? And I don't delete those comments. I leave them on there. But I do approve all comments. I don't always have time to go through and reply to everybody. I try to sit down maybe once a month and write as many replies as I have time for. But I do go through and read them all. And if they're good, I'll include them in a quick queries video just like this one. But I'm glad you figured your problem out. But no, I don't delete stuff unless it's rude, obnoxious, spammy, that kind of stuff. The Dancerita says that it's an annoyance to set up all the settings that you like every time you create a new Word document. Same thing in Excel, same thing in Access. That's why I use the blank template. Yeah, templates are great. You can set it up exactly the way you like with the fonts and the margins and everything you want. I have like a default template that I use for writing letters. It's got my return address and it's formatted, dear Sir or Madam. It's got my closing. So Very seldom do I actually start from scratch with a new document or a new spreadsheet or a new database, unless I'm teaching how to do that. So yeah, use templates for everything. David wants to know about account distinct. Yes, David, I just want to let you know I put this on the list for a tech help video. I will be addressing this pretty soon, so stay tuned. All right, this is about my continuous forms not working video, which the major reason why a lot of people don't have their continuous forms working is because they have it set as a single form. Howzamacha says the problem he has is after creating a continuous form and entering a few test records, when I open the form, it only shows the top record. There's more underneath it, but you have to either minimize or maximize the record to see it or drag the bottom. I'm guessing, I can't see it obviously, but I'm guessing that you've got your form footer really big. And so based on the size that you have it set, you're not being able to see it. Let me show you what I mean. All right, here's my continuous form, right? You can see here if I resize this, you can see. All right, now, if you go into here and either your header or your footer, if you make this really big, like that, okay, save it and reopen it, you can see now you see fewer records, right? And if your form was sitting like that, you might also not see all the records. They're there. You got a tab or you can maximize. Okay, but the problem is your header or your footer section is too big. And to fix that, make sure this is nice and tiny, and then just make sure that your sections in here aren't that big. I'm guessing that's what the problem is. If that's not the problem, I need to see some screenshots. So post it on my website in the visitor forum. Unless you're a member, then you can post it in the regular forums. But I need to. This is one of those things I kind of have to see it. It's hard to go by based on a description. World BH says that I was looking for that the highlight the birth month. I was doing for employee contracts expiring this month or 3 months from now. Of course, the birth month video only shows you how to highlight if it just looks at the month field. So any Octobers, any Januaries, whatever. For what you need is it's actually much simpler. If you want to just see people expiring this month or 3 months from now, you can use the date add or the date diff features functions. Or if you're not super picky about calendar month to the day, you could just say today's date plus 90, right? Sometimes that's good enough. But that's a lot easier than what I covered in here. Shadow Dragon, yes, I use conditional formatting everywhere. It's so much easier to draw your eye to something like, red if a bill needs to be paid or whatever. You're very welcome, Paul. I love doing it. Yeah, I hear this a lot. People wish they would have known something that I teach years ago. Yeah, me too. I'm always constantly learning stuff that I'm like, man, I wish I would have known this 10 years ago. And I wouldn't have did what I did, but okay. Well, we all learn, right? I consider it a bad day if I don't learn something new every single day. And I haven't learned something new yet today, so I'm on a mission. Rick Tapkey says, with my imported field names, my video talks about how when you import a spreadsheet from Excel, you get whatever field names are in the column headers if you specify that when you do a DoCmd transfer spreadsheet. And Rick is saying that you just make one table with the field names that you want, then copy and paste that into Excel. Yeah, that would work great. The problem is the questioner says that he has no control over that spreadsheet. It gets sent to him. He doesn't want to have to bother with opening up the spreadsheet every time to modify it before he imports it. So that's why I talk about it the way I do in the video. And I teach you how to deal with those field names that have trailing spaces. So yeah, there's a million options. That's one of the things I love about Access and programming in general. Is there's a million ways to do everything. But if you want to skip that step without having to open up the Excel file, then that's what you kind of have to do. Yeah, I'm fortunate that I haven't lost a lot of hair yet. I've done a lot of programming and I've pulled a lot of hair, like you pull your hair, but I haven't pulled a lot of it out. And I'm 52 years old now, and I still got most of my head of hair, so I think I'm good. Both of my grandfathers, my one grandfather was bald in his 40s, pretty much bald, and the other one, I think he died well into his 60s, and he had a full head of gray hair. So I'm hoping I got his genes. Oh, I've got some grays. I've definitely got some grays, but at least I've got most of my hair still. And my profile picture that you're seeing, that's about 10 years old. I almost never wear a suit and tie, but I was going to a wedding one day, and I was all dressed up with that red tie. And I looked in the mirror and I'm like, damn, I look good. So I took a selfie, and I'm like, that should be my profile picture for my business cards on my website and stuff. So that's from about, I think, 2014. So I've aged gracefully since then. Don't worry. This question's about using send email, and you can't close Access until you use the task manager to kill it. Yeah, that happens sometimes if the program that you're using misbehaves. Like if you're using send object to send to Microsoft Outlook and Outlook has a problem, either it locks up or whatever, then Access will not get control back until you kill one of those two things, and that happens. Check your code, check your settings. This again is one of those things that it's difficult to troubleshoot without me looking at it, but it could be an SMTP issue with your mail settings, and then Outlook is just kind of hanging, and then it doesn't return control to Access. So yeah, that you have to just see if you can figure it out. Newer Stud wants to know if you can add a header for each field or column in a list box. Yep, you just got to look for the column heads property. It works the same in list boxes and in combo boxes. I don't think I have any list boxes in this database, so let's do it with a combo box. Here's a combo box that has a customer's last name, first name in it, so it only has one visible field called LF. But if you go in here, open up the properties, and find under format, find column heads, and switch that to yes. Those are the column headers. Save it, close it, open it back up again, and there you'll see the little column header. And this will work the same in list boxes and in combo boxes. So there you go. I've actually got a video on this coming up pretty soon. If you've been following my channel for any time, you know that twice a year I post a video and I rail on daylight savings time. I hate daylight saving time. I always make that mistake myself, savings. Catherandify says that she agrees, but she just doesn't use any mechanical clocks or clocks that don't automatically change. Just use your phone and your PC. Yeah, I've got a lot of old digital clocks like in my garage, and I've got a big wall clock outside on my patio, and you still got to go change them. Not everything can automatically update like your phone can. Someone made an excellent suggestion in my forums. They said, because some people can't decide whether they want to go to standard time or keep daylight saving time. Some people say they want the extra hour of sunlight in the summer, and so other people say they don't want it so dark in the winter. The suggestion that I saw was just put half an hour in there of daylight saving time and just leave it year round for everybody. And that's kind of a compromise between them. I like that idea. I could go with that. Just stop changing the clocks, people. Stop it. Just end the insanity. This is one of those things that I kind of have to see to be able to tell you what's wrong. If you go into design view and your table is disabled, then you might be working with an encrypted file or an execute only version, which there's a million reasons why it could not work, and I don't have enough information to be able to help you, so sorry. Yes, my rage for daylight saving time has been around for decades. I hate it. I've always hated it. Yeah, I also made a suggestion on getting rid of time zones. I know this will never happen. It's just it's a fantasy of mine. If the whole world was on one time standard, right? Because then, you just got to know the local sun up and sundown times. That's all. If you know that the sun comes up at 3 p.m. and it goes down at 3 a.m., okay. So when you travel, everybody's on the same clock. I don't know. I don't know. I think it would work. Yeah, the closer to the equator you are, the less needed daylight saving time is. I get it if you live up north. Like I understood it a little bit better when I was in Buffalo, and you do have really short days. But like down here in I'm in South Florida now, so it's like no, we don't need it. Hi Yami, yes, you watched the basic relationships video where I talk mostly about one-to-many relationships. So what you need if you want to be able to have it where you can have multiple job types for a particular customer, you need a many-to-many relationship with a subform where you could pick multiple types. And this is the video that explains how to do that. A lot of people, I'm surprised that by the number of people that post this, how do you win whatever lottery? I can teach you how to analyze the numbers, but if I knew how, do you really think if I knew how to win a lottery, I would tell you guys? Come on. Wasn't there a movie out not too long ago about some dude that figured out a loophole? There was a mathematical loophole in some state's lottery, and he won millions of dollars. And I remember watching the movie, but I can't remember the details, and I don't feel like Googling it, but there's a movie about it. Google it. Yeah, I told that to Alex that you mentioned that, and he got a chuckle too. Yeah, hey, Nigel. Yeah, debugging is very, very useful. Learning how to debug, learning how when you have something that doesn't work, how to fix it is sometimes more important than learning how to write code in the first place. I've got a couple of basic tech help videos on some simple debugging. You could look for those on my website, but I spent a lot of time covering debugging in Access Developer 15. I call it my debugging level 2 because I go over the basic stuff earlier, but this is the good stuff, right? Setting up a debug loop with the goto, the immediate window, watches, breakpoints, all that stuff. Oh, I feel you, Lilith. I've had my dog destroy whole laptops on me before. The one time when I first got him, he was a puppy. He's about 4 years old now. But he was sitting next to my desk, got all excited, hopped up, knocked my coffee over. Bye-bye laptop. I took it apart, tried to clean the laptop keyboard. No, it was gone. So, yeah, try to keep animals away from your electronics. Can you put multiple images on a record? Yeah, you'd have to set it up with a subform. If you're going to have multiple of anything related to something, then you have to have a separate table, and you have to have a relationship. And in this case, I would use a form with a subform. And you could scroll down with, the different records. That's the default behavior that Access uses, and that would not be that hard to set up. If you want to make little buttons like you see on Amazon, like the products where they've got multiple buttons, you want to click on a button underneath it to go left and right, sure, you could do that too. That would involve a little programming, but I'm certain it's possible. Maybe I'll make a tech help video on this eventually. I'll put it on the list. That'd be a cool video. In fact, sometimes I surprise myself. I made this video a little while back, and I totally forgot about it. But yes, I did cover how to do that with multiple images in a subform. Well, this actually uses a related form. It puts it in the contacts form, which is related to the customer record. It opens up in a separate form, but you could make this a subform inside the customer form. Or in your case, you could make this a subform inside a product form. I don't have little buttons though, but I know I get what you're going at. Instead of having this where you can click to go down, you want to just see the image and then have like a left and right arrow under there. That's certainly possible, and maybe I'll make a video on it. Who knows? We'll see. I do also have some image management in my ABCD database, part 5. But again, I don't have exactly what that was, but maybe I'll add it to this too. All right, folks, that's about going to do it for today. That's your Quick Queries Tech Help video for today. Hope you learned something. What's today? Friday, the 8th of November, 2024. So have a good weekend. Live long and prosper, my friends. Prosper? Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you Monday. A special thank you and shout out to our diamond sponsors. First, we have Juan Soto with Access Experts Software Solutions, manufacturing experts specializing in Access and SQL Server. Juan is a 13-time Microsoft Access MVP. You can check them out at accessexperts.com. Another shout out to Sammy Shama from Shama Consultancy. Sammy is a certified Microsoft Office specialist, and he not only offers Access application development, but he also provides one-on-one tutoring services. So if you need someone to hold your hand and help you with your Access project, Sammy is your guy. Check him out at shamaconsultancy.com. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have below. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. Click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Want to learn more? Click the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. YouTube does a pretty good job of hiding it. It's right down there. See this part of the description here, right? The name, the video's up here. There's a little Show More down there, right down the bottom. It's kind of hard to find. But once you click on that, you'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. And YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted like they used to do. But if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link to join my mailing list. And you can pick how frequently to get emails from me, either as they happen, daily, weekly, or monthly. Now, if you'd like to become a paid member of my channel and receive all kinds of awesome perks, click on the Join button. You'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks, including my extended cut videos, access to my code vault, lots of VBA source code in there, template downloads, and lots more. I'll talk more about these perks at the end of the video. Even if you don't want to commit to becoming a paid member and you'd like to help support my work, please feel free to click on the tip jar link. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got some puppies to feed. But don't worry, no matter what, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you really want to learn Access and you haven't tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, and more. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? The whole thing, free, 4 hours. Go watch it. And okay, a lot of you have told me that you don't have time to sit through a 4-hour course. So I do now have a quicker Microsoft Access for Beginners video that covers all the basics faster in about 30 minutes. And no, I didn't just put the video on fast forward. But I'll put a link to this down below as well. Now, if you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. That's it, $1. And that's another whole 90-minute course. Level 2 is also free for paid members of any level, including supporters. So if you're a member, go watch level 2. It's free. Okay, want to get your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my Tech Help page and send me your question there. Members get priority, of course. While I do try to read and respond to all of the comments posted below in the comments section, I only have time to go through them briefly a couple of times a month, and sometimes I get thousands of them. So send me your question here on the Tech Help page, and you'll have a better chance of getting it answered. And while you're on my website, be sure to stop by my Access forum. We've got lots of lively conversations about Microsoft Access and other topics. I have a fantastic group of moderators who help me answer questions. Shout out to Alex, Kevin, Scott, Adam, John, Dan, Juan, and everybody else who helps out on the site. I appreciate everything you do. I couldn't do it without you. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but I don't like Facebook. Don't get me started. Now, let's talk more about those member perks if you do decide to join as a paid member. There are different levels: Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Diamond. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut Tech Help videos, one free beginner class every month, and some other perks. Gold members get all the previous perks, plus access to download the sample databases that I build in my Tech Help videos, plus access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions that I use, the code that I build in most of the videos. You'll also get higher priority if you do submit any Tech Help questions. Now, answers are never guaranteed, but you do go higher in the list for me to read them. And if I like your question, you got a good chance of it being answered. You'll also get one free expert level class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks plus even higher priority for Tech Help questions. You get access to all of my full beginner level courses for every subject. And I cover lots of different subjects like Word, Excel, VBA, ASP, lots of different stuff, not just Access. These are the full-length courses found on my website. You get all the beginner ones. In addition, once you finish the expert classes, you get one free developer class per month. So lots of training. And finally, you can also become a Diamond sponsor. You'll have your name or your company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown on each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you again soon.